You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Good morning and welcome. It's Thursday, the 11th of January, and you're listening to Now Breakfast. I'm Nabila Usman here with
Stephen Imediego.
And today we're keeping up with the National Assembly. The legislative agenda for the House of Representatives is focused on addressing the socio-economic and political challenges of Nigeria. The Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, said that the 10th Assembly intends to, quote, rebuild citizens' confidence through legislative reforms for economic growth and development. Today, we're joined by the Senior Program Officer at the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC. We're joined by Ms. Iembe Ama. Good morning and welcome to the conversation, Ms. Ama.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Let's
Likewise.
start with just your reaction listening to the Speaker of the House of Reps. What do you think about what he said, restoring citizens' confidence, rebuilding it?
I think everyone would tend to agree with his statement, considering the fact of where Nigerians are coming from and the perceptions of citizens about the National Assembly regarding governance systems, and the way the decision-making process of the National Assembly, has been done in previous years. So I think we have a lot of work to do. If you look at the circumstances surrounding the election of the presiding officers of the National Assembly and the whole political landscape of the National Assembly, I think it's only time that the National Assembly and lawmakers are able to change the perception of citizens regarding their affairs and the conduct of their legislative activities, as well as their interactions with the executive arm of government. So I think he understands that part. He wouldn't say he's not aware of it, considering the fact that he was once a member, of the House of Representatives for around 8 years before he became the Speaker. So he's speaking from a point of experience, has done experienced legislator as well as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So I think we look forward to what the National Assembly and the House of Reps in particular, has to bring forth regarding rebuilding, citizens' confidence.
Right. Ma'am, it's one thing to understand the problem. It's another thing to actually show that you're doing something about it. Do you think that the House of Representatives is doing enough to show their understanding of the problem so far?
So if you look at the Parliament, if you look at the National Assembly, so let's speak to the House of Reps in particular now. This is just an assembly that is yet to even do, should I say, 1 year. They haven't even completed, the term.
Right.
Their first legislative year is not yet complete. So you really can't base them off of what has just happened, in just recent months, in the past few months, which was last year. But so far, in terms of key legislation, I think the House of Reps has done well. The House of Reps has done so well. They are trying their best, and then considering the fact that 80% of lawmakers in the House of Representatives are new legislators, some of them with experiences from being legislators at the state level, some of them just having the experiences of being a politician, but not necessarily a lawmaker. So most of them, this is their first time, of experiencing being a lawmaker at the federal level. So when you put that into perspective, you will only understand the fact that, okay, these guys, they will need some time, because the legislative process, the affairs of the National Assembly is quite technical, it's quite complex. It's not something that you will get in there and understand immediately. You need time to understand how things are done. You need time to study their standing orders. You need time to understand the rules of the game and all of that. So while they are trying to put themselves in perspective and understand how things have done, I think in terms of trying to stand on the mandate of the Speaker, in terms of ensuring that the affairs of citizens are put first, I think they will find their way. It's just a matter of time before we really know how far or how we can evaluate their performance.
I mean, Ms. Amma, I hear you. You're not wrong when it's only logical to think that they would need some time to establish themselves, solid footing and all of that. However, I can't help but raise one of the things the speaker said when he was announcing this legislative agenda, which is that it aligns with the, quote, renewed hope agenda of the executive. And I mean, the mantra of the federal government, this particular administration, has made its way everywhere across the country. It comes with some backlash, some praise, whatever the case is. But for the legislative arm of government, it is a source of concern. We saw that for the first time in the legislative chamber, lawmakers stood up to sing we say a campaign song now, but essentially to sing that song for the president. So when you see things like this pop up, this renewed hope finding its way into the legislative arm, is it a source of concern for independence of the legislature?
Well, I don't think so. If you're basing the question based on the fact that the song, the Renewed Hope anthem, was sung, on the day the president was presenting the budget, for me, I just see them as basking in the euphoria, of the whole ceremony. I'm considering the fact that considering the fact that it was the first budget that the president was presenting before, the National Assembly. I don't think it has anything to do with, trying to hype the executive or trying to find favor, with the executive. But I think it's just a form of solidarity to say that, okay, the House of Representatives or lawmakers, because it was a joint session, their lawmakers are willing to work with you, they are willing to work with you in terms of moving the country forward. And then the legislative agenda, like the speaker said, it has to align with the mandate or with the vision, of the executive, because you don't want a system where the executive are going or doing something different, and then the House of Reps is doing something different. So they have this legislative agenda to guide, their collaboration with the executive, as well as their engagement with the executive. Same for the executive too. You also enable them to say, okay, these are the legislative priorities of the House of Representatives. How can we develop policies? How can we work around this legislative agenda to ensure that whatever the executive is churning out is also in line with what the National Assembly as well as the House of Representatives, are intending to do. So it wouldn't be something that comes up as a surprise to say, oh, we didn't know what you were doing. But it's just like an agreement to say, okay, are willing to work with you as the executive arm. This is what we intend doing. So if you have policies, if you have briefs, if you have bills, if you have legislation that you think, will help the National Assembly, achieve its goal in serving the citizens, they are open and willing to accept that. So,
well, I mean, the year's just starting, and I guess we look to the resumption of plenary across both chambers, and we shall see how it unfolds. Ms. Amma, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate your thoughts on the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our guest, Diembe Amma, is Senior Program Officer at Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, joining us to keep up with the National Assembly. And now breakfast continues in just a few moments with the news review. This is Radio Now.